I am here at Darren Goodman's secret glass lair and workshop. He has brought me here blindfolded and is also recording me.
Through glass.
Show us where you keep the soul.
The soul.
Open the magic box.
I like to keep it.
Oh my God. All right, we got some molten glass. All right, what's gonna happen with it?
Don't know. Actually, I kind of do know. We're gonna stretch it into a stick of glass, but right now we're just gonna shape it. And chill the end pretty fast and allow me to grab it without it squeezing too much. Like if I squeeze here, it's gonna make an indent. That grabbing of the coldness of that water helps solidify it so I can grab onto it. It's still liquid, but it's hardening really pretty fast. Within just about 60 seconds, it'll be cooled down to the point where it's not moving. I improvised, and we didn't know what we were doing before we started, but I knew we were going to take some stretched canes of glass and then roll them up into a reticello. We thought it was going to be a vase or a vase, which the difference is
$300.
but it turned into be a nice bowl, which is still the difference of probably 300 or maybe even 3,000. How much you got? So we're using this technique of thousands of years old traditions of stretching glass, twisting them, blowing them, and creating modern contemporary work out of glass.
It's an absolutely amazing process to get to watch firsthand, this close up. It was extremely hot, but it was amazing. And eventually we'll show you the complete final piece once it cools down. So now we're back to Darren creating this bowl that we originally thought was going to be a vase. Here he is blowing a bubble.
And that will start the bubble process.
From the heat. Interesting.
Yeah. And it looks pretty close. We're going to get it a little more close. This is called pie divider. I mean, mind you, all of these techniques, they're hundreds of years old. This rolling canes into a bubble goes back 2,000 years, all the way back to Jesus and the Romans, inventing the blowpipe and turning canes into a bubble. And form this into a tube. You don't have to form this sheet of glass into a tube. It should be a little bit of a process. Trying to do is piece these two together fairly perfectly and not turn it into impure. If it gets too cold when you go to roll it, like yesterday, I rolled it and they didn't all stick and they started breaking off. You might be able to do a good cylinder. Entirely confident that wonkiness is going to be symmetrical enough to get what we really want to get. So it's not just heating it up on the brick. If I heat it up in the fire too long as well, I'll end up melting the ribs too much, and that will be toxic. This is going to help seal our tube and so essentially this tube now has made the bubble on the end of the blowing tube. A lot of times is create that little what do we call it, seal. completely fudged it by the end of this or not. But right now I'm doing it in the most simplest of forms. That rainbow reticello, I kept kind of second nature, but it really does generally take full concentration. One more time, kind of straighten that edge just a little bit more. Counterclockwise. The next one will be clockwise. And what will happen when they come together is they'll make that crisscross. If I melted these properly and I have texture left, not too much, not too little, when those canes overlap, it'll produce a bubble in between each of those textures. That's how we get the
crisscrossing canes.
And I can tell you, they don't always roll up quite so nice. I mean, this is like pretty decent, not great, not terrible. It enables the glass to at least be on center. It enables me to keep it straight. It might have stretched, but it kept straight. And I'll use that principle again as we begin to make the base. Blow some more. And a half. One. I've done it a lot of times. It doesn't always go that smooth. It doesn't flow in there. So I'm, again, brushing off debris. But it's still really pretty thin. You gotta be careful. It's just, this thing, by the time I've blown it up, it's still barely a 1/4 inch thickness. A lot of this off. So we just added a second layer and stripped off some of that glass. And so now it's already beginning to move. And it's actually going to continue to move faster because for the next few seconds, because that layer of glass just heated up the core bubble of our reticello. So this block is used to shape everything, whether it's a bowl, a vase, a vase. It's all going to start with a block. Now that we got the block, piece block, we'll start to blow it up. There's right there, you might see it with the camera, you might see it better with your eye. See that? Not this metal, but the metal that's like inside. There's a piece of orange right there. Okay. Right there. The second roll up that I did.
Yeah.
I said that one of those pieces of metal stuck to the edge. That little teeny speck of is there. So we're cutting it out.
Okay.
It's, this is what happens.
Whoa!
Touch grass, not glass. So as pieces get bigger, you have to open doors. And as pieces get hotter, they start to move. That's when you can blow. That's when you can stretch. That's when you can form it. I can do this to get a little bit out. Beginning to put a release line. This is called a jack line, even though I'm using the edge of the bench to help cut the line. I'm making a release line, kind of like the crease on a Hershey bar. If I cut this line sharp enough with this tool, it'll be able to break free from the blowpipe. Flatten the bottom. This is going to be the bottom of the bowl. It was going to be a vase, but I think a bowl might be a little better for the camera. Around the top of the bowl. I know it doesn't look like a bowl right now, but things are not always as they appear. And that, my friends, was not at all what I was expecting. It was a little more loosey-goosey, so more perfect even. But I forgive myself. We're gonna give myself another very not even to be symmetrical with this symmetrical pattern. My studio is Dale Chihuly. And Dale Chihuly kind of embraces the fact of not just symmetry, but organicness of not being necessarily even. So I've learned a lot about how to, approach that. Sometimes I think of things on the fly, and I'm gonna add what's called a lip wrap. I'm gonna take these chips and apply it to the edge of the base. It'll be all right. But I'm about to let this thing cool a little more than I want it to. But because I started what I started, I'm just gonna roll with it and hope I don't crack it. I'm pretty sure it'll be all right. I want to get enough black on there that it doesn't look gray. It looks, how you say, black. But this is taking time. All the while, that is cooling very rapid, and I need to be extremely conscious. All of these the little bits on the exterior can cool down to the point where they will crack. And when I go back into the fire. So when I set this in the fire, I'll find out. Did I lose the body wraps? Were they too cold by the time they got into the fire? And I think they're all right. But I have a feeling I'm going to do it once more. Just the radiating heat kicking off of this piece is making my arm burn. So a lot of times, the bigger the piece, the more protective gear I've got, or I need somebody else to shield me with protective gear. It'll be in the final form before we let gravity do the rest. I love letting gravity shape these pieces, especially with the definition of the pattern being so precise, letting gravity take over from there. It's beginning to get hot, but we need it hotter. And it's beginning to get big, but we need to open the doors so that we can get out.
Ta-da!
Voila!